Why did Anakin's Force Ghost appear young? One of the most iconic endings to any film in all of cinema really is at the end of Return of the Jedi. Seeing the Force Ghost of Anakin Skywalker appear on the screen was one of the most beautiful moments. But one question asked by many is, why does his Force Ghost appear young here? I mean, shouldn't he look like how he last did in his final moments? Well, many think that because we don't see Obi-Wan appear young, for example, but thankfully this was explained by George Lucas himself, as well as a brand new novel that just released that answers this question a bit more. Let's get right into it. If you've watched Return of the Jedi before the year 2004, you'll probably remember Sebastian Shaw as the Force Ghost that appeared on your screen, the same original actor who portrayed Anakin under the mask of Darth Vader. Well, this all changed when the original trilogy was released on DVD. Multiple changes were made to the film, including the planets that we saw at the end of the movie. They added the Senate building and the Jedi Temple to Coruscant, and they even added Naboo as well. But one of the biggest changes is when they changed Anakin's Force Ghost from Sebastian Shaw to a younger Hayden Christensen. This new appearance of Anakin was clearly younger, and it wasn't the same appearance he had when he died. Well, George Lucas explains this in a sit-down interview with Hayden and said the reason for this huge change was because this is ultimately when Anakin fully returned. George mentioned that it's a way to show where things left off when Anakin fell to the dark side, and it's like he picks back up from where he last was. When Anakin returns as the Force Ghost, it's meant to show that he's truly Anakin again, and not how he appeared as Darth Vader with all the burns and scars. This was the last time that Anakin was truly a Jedi, and in canon, since only Jedi could become Force Ghosts, it's really the reason why this change was made. Now this is what George said, which I'll get back to shortly, but I want to mention something from the recent novel that just released called Return of the Jedi from a Certain Point of View, which by the way I highly recommend reading, and it would be a fine addition to your collection. But anyways, this novel dives deep into how Anakin became a Force Ghost and really what the process was like. Most Jedi like Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Qui-Gon, they all had to go through training for this, but Anakin's path was a little different. It states in the novel that when Darth Vader passed, he entered a void of the Force, and he started experiencing visions of the people he cared for most. He saw his mother Shmi, he saw Padme, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, and even Qui-Gon. After this, Obi-Wan reaches out to him through the Force and communicates with him. Anakin started to feel guilty for everything that he's done, and it's like throughout all these memories and thoughts, not 1 ounce of him is Darth Vader anymore, it's purely Anakin. He tells Obi-Wan that he'd do anything to rewrite his wrongs, and his will to do good in the world is ultimately what allows him to return as a Force Ghost. Not only this, but because he's the chosen one, his connection to the cosmic force is so strong. That plays a huge part in what allows him to retain consciousness after death. Personally, I like the idea of having a young Anakin appear, and I think the reasoning for it really makes sense. I also think it could allow them to use Anakin as a Force Ghost for future projects, such as what we saw in Ahsoka for example. Also, just a side note, if you didn't know, George actually never told Hayden about becoming a Force Ghost. He just asked him to look down and then back into the camera and really surprised him then by adding him, so I thought that was pretty funny. But anyways, so going back, I do understand both sides. I mean, for the fans that were raised on the original trilogy and grew up recognizing Sebastian Shaw as Anakin, it was probably so meaningful at the time. I can only imagine it's difficult seeing that for 20 years and then it changes all of a sudden. But I want to know from you, which do you prefer? Do you prefer seeing Anakin appear young and as Hayden Christensen, or did you prefer Sebastian Shaw? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching and may the Force be with you, always.